This is Koji Bihara on Celestial Rhythms. I hope you're doing great. This is an intense time we're living in, and we're moving definitely towards a culmination. I show you what I come to that conclusion for. There's actually quite a few different ways to look at this, and it all points to the same direction that end of July, starting around the 20th into mid-August, this will be the culmination of a longer preparation, you could say, we have been moving towards, and I would call it a uprising of intelligence, or an outbreak of a revolution against the system, which has been very tight, and it's getting holes everywhere. It's becoming obvious. And let's just look into the astrology of this first a little bit, and then we get into more of the details, what I see occurring, what the manifestations of these energies will be. So first of all, here we have the full moon chart of tomorrow, July the 10th, which always full moons and new moons, as you know, are the kind of the most powerful moments where celestial energies are anchored into our system, our Earth, Sun, cosmic relationship. And when we look at the Greenwich chart, which is a zero meridian, which makes lots of sense to choose as a particular destination, as it's defined as the center point of Earth's globe, and it's 5129 north of the equator. 5126 happens to be 1/7 of the circle. The number 7 is related to the infinity of everything. It opens the gates to something much larger. It's the top of the pyramid if you look into the numerology of the Mayan calendar, for example. The number 7 is related to something much faster than we are. That's why this makes lots of sense to choose this location, which happens to be the Royal Observatory, which is the location from where the skies have been observed, not just in the last few hundred years, but going back to prehistoric times with Stonehenge and other sacred sites. We know that there's lots of evidence on that. So the full moon of tomorrow is in the 19th degree of Capricorn, with the sun naturally exactly at the other end, in the 19th degree of Cancer. Now this axis, these 2 degrees have been highlighted for quite a few times powerfully, so something is important about those 2 degrees as such. I just want to quickly show you. This is the winter solstice we had on December 21st, 2024, when the sun was at 0 degrees Capricorn, starting a whole new natural year. And you see that was the exact same choice of degrees. So that not just means that these 2 degrees are special, which they are definitely very strongly highlighted for that reason, but it also shows that the geometry of that moment is identical with the geometry of this full moon all over the globe. Everywhere there will be, wherever you are, there's this particular same degree which will be highlighted, how we are connecting with the cosmos. Now the 19th degree here in these 2 cardinal signs is powerful in many ways, but before we go there, I just want to show you a couple more charts which had that exact same degree highlighted. That was when the lunar nodes, the lunar north node to be exact, was conjunct Neptune, which was definitely one of the most important alignments of the year, which has to do with connecting to something of the greater scope beyond our usual sensual experiences, tuning in, and in that sense also opening to all the extrasensory experiences, that's all connected to Neptune, the telepathic connections, and if you think of the telepathy tapes, for example, which have been released, something to look up if you haven't done so yet, which shows many new openings, things we haven't been seeing yet from where we have been rationally observing the universe. So this is another one with Mars actually here on the 7th house cusp at the time, that was in February, which shows that this is a very dynamic energy which is unfolding over time, as all these, what I'm showing you here, are important markers in time, stakes in the ground, which will decide where things go in a bigger way. So these are not just happening in that moment when they are active, they are seeds for something much bigger to come, like the full moon, the new moon are too. Then next one which I found, and I'm sure there's quite a few other alignments too which had those 2 degrees highlighted. This is the partial solar eclipse of March the 29th. That was the last solar eclipse we had. Again, that same 2 degrees now in a different configuration. This time the Cancer 19th degree is at the ascendant and Capricorn 19 at the descendant. Now, before, I could go again into these charts. I have done that, so please go back to the archive where you find more, and there you will find the importance of these moments and how they will play out over time. So it's really not just about that time when these alignments are exact, it's really setting the pace for something bigger to come. So the 19th degrees, let's just go back here to the present full moon chart of Capricorn and Cancer. And just to give you a little preview, if we go to the coming full moon, new moon, of when the moon and the sun will be here exactly at 2 degrees 08 Leo, you see again we have these 2 degrees rising here and setting. And naturally, the horizon axis is where heaven and earth touch each other, where the celestial energies most strongly are incarnating and coming down to be felt. Now, let's have a quick peek at what these 2 degrees mean. First, I wanted to show you the Sabian symbols, which I've been talking about quite a few times already. So the 19th degree of Capricorn, where presently the moon will be full, is a 5-year-old carrying a shopping bag, a full shopping bag of groceries. So the meaning behind this is that we are pushed to do things and take on tasks which we are really not yet fully ready for. So this is a accelerated growth humanity is pushed through, which definitely has been happening already since pretty much the last winter solstice. I guess we can definitely see that happening, that there's a great evolutionary force which pushes us to open our panorama, you could say, our field of vision, and get out of that narrow focus which most people have been in. We all have gone through that opening experience of seeing things we had ignored before and which suddenly make sense. The 19th degree in Cancer is a marriage ceremony which brings together polarities, which is a very powerful symbol naturally. It brings together left and right, black and white, day and night. All the polarities are meant to get married together and come to be a greater entity in themselves, and naturally when polarities are brought together, then the division is bridged, and that's where we are getting in a very fast progression too, that humanity is really coming to a place where we see through all the attempts, I would call it, to divert us, to make us go against each other on various notions, levels, ideas. So we have to really, and we are getting there. That is the clear signal here. Now, these energies, you see here is Uranus and Setna at the base of this chart. It's another really strong one, and actually Uranus just moved into Gemini. Uranus is in Gemini, also in the North American base chart, I would call it, a declaration of independence. You see here, Uranus was at the 9th degree of Gemini, so probably within a year or so in 2026 there will be a Uranus return for the Declaration of Independence, which I can say it's not just the United States birth chart. This is really the birth of a whole new approach to civilization, with those basic rights set in stone as they are in the Constitution of the United States, upholding really these high values of independence, independent sovereignty, brotherhood, freedom, all of these basic human values, which have been definitely in question for as long as we can think back in history. So this has been a breakthrough. That's why these charts are important, the Declaration of Independence particularly. It was also that time of the French Revolution, which had a similar flavor. Interesting that Pluto in this chart here of Declaration of Independence, Pluto naturally a very, very strong planet in this chart, as such, as it's opposed by the vertex and the part of fortune, and also Mercury. It's to regain that influence, and which we are meant to have over the whole of existence, and questioning everything with Mercury here on the other side, going through transitions and shape shifts. You see this degree here is on the ascendant, and if we look a little bit ahead, then on the, actually this is another one I wanted to quickly run by you, that is when Juno, which is all about working together and supporting one another, very much in that line of that marriage ceremony, as Juno is the asteroid of partnership. Juno will turn direct after having gone retrograde for quite a few months in the 17th degree here of Scorpio. So that is a big moment for Juno to go direct again, and that happens again in this 19th degree of Cancer and Capricorn, so a further reinforcement of that energy. Not even mentioning that it is exactly at sunrise here in Greenwich over the zero meridian. Very, very powerful chart this is in itself. That is 2 days from now, with the nodes actually here also in the power axis. with the node, naturally here the north node, where we're moving towards evolutionary. In Pisces, it is that recognition of all those unseen and usually not very physical energies. Pisces is also about the faith, the trust, and to know that everything is interconnected based on that south node energy of understanding the detail and the fine print and knowing the strategy of where to base oneself in. And then when this is cemented and really substantiated, I could say, then we are able to reach out and allow for existence to manifest itself around us, trust in God, and do the right thing, be in your integrity, all of that. That is very much Pisces. Interesting is also this Nessus here. Nessus is quite a difficult one. It's one of the centaur planets, which has to do with all kinds of pains and also stuff which is really dark. It is all the represents all the things which we are. Let me find the word. It's I'm always missing that word. It's the what makes us ill, what gives us trouble, what gives us pain. So this has been very much in the forefront. Yes, I guess it is that we are clearing those energies as we speak, have been, and keep doing that. Actually, it's moving now out of orb. I guess the moon, the lunar node moves fast backwards, getting out of this configuration, but still active. So we have to handle difficult situations. That is basically the idea here, and we are ready for it. Now, what I want to show you further on, actually show you how this energy will be fully activated, as I mentioned, around the 20th of July, around the time when the sun will be moving into Leo. That is also when Jupiter crosses the degree 9 degrees and 30 minutes of Cancer. Now, what is special about this degree is that here starts a new hexagram. If we overlay the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching, let me quickly show you. I guess I have it still open here. Maybe not. Yeah, that's okay. Yes, it is. Maybe I quickly should open it to show you. This is. Okay, just give me a sec. Here we go. That's on my own website, which I have no access to anymore. I used to manage it all myself. I cannot do that anymore. The program I used is no more working on Windows 10. That's why it's not been updated, but it's still a great site of resources. That's why I left it up there. And here you see this is based on the human design systems overlay of the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. And here you see this is hexagram 39. Now 39 is an interesting one, and it is actually really a powerful 6-degree period. Not just has the Declaration of Independence been founded with the sun in this section of the zodiac. Also, this is where the sun every year is closest to us. It is where, or in other words said, it's Earth's perihelion. Earth moves on an ellipse as all the celestial bodies. That means this is one point where Earth is closest to the Sun, and that is on July the 3rd. Around, it varies every year a little bit. It's a chaotic motion, but it always falls into this hexagram. So let's have a closer look what is hexagram 39 all about. It's called obstruction in the I Ching, which is the 5,000-year-old book of changes. You can look it up and read more about it, but the basic message there is this is an energy of provocation, you could say. So you're confronted with something which you are meant to integrate, and as we just recently already have experienced, and again this is just because this energy already has been activated lately by the Sun. I don't have a chart here of that right now open, but I mean, you see this is on 4th of July, every 4th of July, naturally the Sun is in this area of the zodiac. So this has been our experience pretty much through the first days of July, this energy already, and it will be strongly coming back as Jupiter is an amplifier. So Jupiter will be in this hexagram likely for about 4 to 5 weeks, and reinforcing this whole energy of provocation, of also you could say, I did make a note here, of controversy, contradictions, and just think of what happened lately. I mean, Donald Trump is a perfect example of contradictions and controversy. And what we have been observing just lately with the Epstein files, actually, this probably is a very, very smart strategy, as he is known to be a great strategist, art of war, you know that. I mean, he has this particular Kuiper belt object, which still hasn't been named yet, which is called AW197, was discovered in 2002, has it very close to his Sun. So that Kuiper belt object has been defined as connected to that strategy, consciousness of knowing how to tease the opponent to do things which you then can take advantage of, kind of, and that's where this moves. So he has done that multiple times. Also, his whole theater playing with Elon Musk, of being on the opposite sides of the story. It's all a big play, and once you start seeing that, then things make sense. So it's all about that provocation, and in that sense, making your opponent do things he wouldn't have done. And if we think of the mainstream media now, for example, demanding those Epstein client lists to be published, as now there has been this 180-degree turn. This is very, very interesting, and it's definitely in that whole mix of controversy and contradiction, which in the end forces each individual to start using their brain in a little different way, and maybe come to a discernment which has been missed before, as everything was so one-sided and one size fits all. So this is definitely the aberration in that direction, and that will be further amplified on when Jupiter will be navigating through this hexagram till 15 degrees 07 minutes and 30 seconds. That is 1/64 of the zodiac. Now we're getting into really interesting times after that July the 21st. So till then, there's a gradual build up. We can say I will do another recording on that very soon. I really just wanted to give you the basics here for now, and keep your mind and your ears and your eyes open. There will be quite a few contradictions coming our way, and they're all meant to do the same thing, to break shells open, to break minds open, to make people see things they haven't so far been able to bring together, and bring it to that sacred marriage of opposite forces and start working together. I mean, this chart here, just quickly before I end this recording, I will get back to that once more. It's a beautiful, beautiful chart here with Moon, Venus, and Hygeia in a narrow conjunction. That will be, as I say, July the 21st. That will be the initiation of Jupiter into this new energy of questioning everything and throwing in curveballs, provoking things in a bigger way, and naturally, again, Uranus here at the source point, the fourth house cusp, where the roots are of how this energy has been implanted, and you see it goes back again to the full moon of tomorrow. So there's this gradual build up. It's kind of, we're getting gently nudged into a direction. That's what all these repetition of degrees of powerful charts, of powerful seed points are about. It's nudging us in as a global commune into one particular direction, and it is definitely has to do with this 19th degree of Capricorn, 19th degree of Cancer. On one hand, being pushed to take on tasks and chores which we are not yet fully ready for, really that acceleration of evolution which we are all experiencing in our own lives, in our own ways, in our own relationships, and naturally this is the same in the collective. And there's lots of surprises, lots of new openings, particularly with Setna here now in Gemini, and Uranus catching up to it fast now. This is also the Earth, which is having extreme unrest at the time. You probably have watched all these volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, and there will be more of that. That's pretty certain, you could say. I have done some research into that too, and then in pretty much all the big major events in volcanism and earthquakes have these two planets strongly placed. So that's another aspect of what we're seeing these days. It's Earth 2 waking up in a way. So, yes, I guess I leave it at this for now, and wish you a good time within that chaos which is unfolding, in a way opening itself to a whole new way of seeing it. I wish you great time. Enjoy the summer if you're living in the Northern Hemisphere. It's a beautiful time, and hopefully I get back to do another recording very soon. Okay. Bye, friends. Bye bye.